Today I learned
about a sexual parasitism in anglerfish, where the male dwarf fish bites an adult female, latches on, fusing its tissues to the female host to eventually share one circulatory system. The male eventually withers away, and all that is left is its testes. Millennial dads are spending 3 times as much time with their kids than their fathers spent with them. Back in 1982, 43% of fathers admitted they'd never changed a diaper. Today, that number is down to about 3%. The cast of Friends each made $1 million per episode in the final 2 seasons and now make $20 million per year per cast member for reruns. The show still generates $1 billion per year for Warner Brothers. All thanks to David Schwimmer encouraging the cast to negotiate as a team. A waitress was tipped a lottery ticket and won $10 million. She was then sued by her colleagues for their share. Then she was sued by the man who tipped her the ticket. Then she was kidnapped by her ex-husband, and shot him in the chest. Then she went to court against the IRS. In 1959, police were called to a segregated library in South Carolina when a 9-year-old black boy refused to leave. He later got a PhD in physics from MIT, and died in 1986, one of the astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger. The library that refused to lend him books is now named after him. Willie, a parrot, alerted its owner, Megan Howard, when the toddler she was babysitting began to choke. Megan was in the bathroom. The parrot began screaming, "Mama, baby," while flapping its wings as the child turned blue. Megan rushed over and performed the Heimlich, saving the girl's life. Military grade is just a marketing ploy. In the actual military grade means meeting the bare minimum requirements of durability, while also costing the least. There was an early 1900s act named Sober Sue, whose draw was She Never Smiled. A theater offered $1,000 to anyone who could make her laugh, attracting big comedians. Crowds came out to watch them try, and fail, giving them a free show. Later it came out that Sue suffered from facial paralysis. Canadian researchers watched 40 episodes of The Doctor or Show and found that nearly 40% of the medical advice is not evidence-based, and 15% goes directly against evidence. Schrödinger constructed his famous cat experiment to show that misinterpretations of quantum theory can lead to absurd results that do not match the real world. Today many popularizers of science have embraced the absurdity of Schrödinger's cat and claim that this is how the real world works. The 2011 Smithville, Mississippi EF5 tornado, one of the strongest ever recorded, threw a semi-truck 300 yards, embedded an RV into the ground 250 yards away, and threw an SUV onto the top of a water tower, half a mile away, before it landed crushed into a ball, another quarter mile away. That little extra flap of skin that some dogs, and most cats, have on their ears is called a Henry's pocket. There's a statue of Uma Thurman's naked grandma at Sweden's southernmost point. During an interview with Stephen Hawking, the camera operator yanked a cable causing an alarm, and Hawking to slump forward. Worried they had killed him, everyone rushed over to find Hawking giggling at his own joke. The alarm was from an office computer, losing power. The FBI has struggled to hire hackers because of the FBI hiring rule that the applicant must not have used marijuana during the last 3 years. That there was a rumor that Stephen Hawking would deliberately run over the toes of people he didn't like. He denied this rumor by stating it was a malicious rumor, and I'll run over anyone who repeats it. Kate Winslet keeps her Oscar in the bathroom so her guests can hold it, and make acceptance speeches in the mirror, without feeling self-conscious. Michael Jordan once tipped a waitress a $5 chip for bringing him a drink. Wayne Gretzky stopped the waitress, removed the $5 chip, grabbed one of the many $100 chips on Jordan's side of the table, and gave it to her. Then he said, "That's how we tip in Las Vegas." Dr. Phil lost his license to practice psychology in 2006. Therefore, All guests on his TV show must sign a contract, stating they are only there to receive advice from an individual, not a psychologist. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak has disdain for money and large wealth accumulation. In 2017 he said he didn't want to be near money, because it could corrupt your values. When Apple went public, Wozniak offered $10 million of his stock to early Apple employees, something Jobs refused to do. Keanu Reeves often forgoes some of his paycheck, so that producers can bring on other notable actors. On The Devil's Advocate, he reduced his salary by a few $1 million, so that they could afford Al Pacino. And he did the same thing on The Replacements, to be able to work with Gene Hackman. In 1980 the FBI formed a fake company and attempted to bribe members of Congress. Nearly 25% of those tested accepted the bribe, and were convicted. When Mr. Rogers heard his limo driver was going to be waiting outside while Rogers was in a meeting, he asked the driver to come in. On the way back they passed the driver's home and Rogers asked if they could stop and meet his family. Rogers kept in touch with the driver for the rest of his life. In 2011, a 29-year-old Australian bartender found an ATM glitch that allowed him to withdraw way beyond his balance. In a bender that lasted 4.5 months, he managed to spend around $1.6 million of the bank's money. An FBI whistleblower reported multiple problems in forensic cases. After years of the FBI seeking to ruin him, his claims were investigated and a report showed that forensic hair analysis was flawed, or inaccurate over 90% of the time. A Georgia teacher who bought a $400 travel insurance policy was rewarded $10,000 because she read the fine print of the contract. After reading to page 7, she saw a pays to read bit that said the first to email and mention the fine print contest would win $10K.